Hey everybody, AC here, and welcome back to another episode of Man-Gust Volume 3. This time, we're talking about the number 19 of the mangas and manhwas that deserved anime adaptations. And at number 19, we have Rosario Vampire. Now, again, this is another one of those series that technically has a anime adaptation already. It ran for 2 seasons. The second season was complete garbage, had nothing to do with the manga in the slightest. And the first season was a pretty good adaptation. It introduced a couple characters a little sooner than they were introduced in the manga, but still good. It was still good. And ultimately, the way they introduced the characters was pretty much the same as it happened in the manga. A couple of minor differences here and there, but it was still basically the same. They just introduced some characters sooner than the manga did. But that said, the anime only covered the first 3 volumes. It only covered the first 3 volumes before it started going off into its own direction. So I really do think that this series deserves a proper anime adaptation. Because there's 24 volumes in this series. 24 volumes, 112 chapters. And each chapter is like each chapter, honestly, like 2 chapters alone would be enough for a whole enough for a whole episode. That said, the first 10 volumes tell one complete story, and then the last 14 volumes tell another complete story. This manga is a bit unique because the first 10 volumes is considered season 1 of the manga, and the last 14 volumes is literally called Rosario Vampire Season 2. So, I think that what they could do, they could either have a 24 episode first season to cover the first 10 volumes, and then a 26 episode season to cover the last 14 volumes, or they could have 4 separate seasons, 13 episode seasons to cover everything. But yeah, it could work. It could absolutely work. They absolutely could make a proper anime adaptation of this, and I really hope that they do eventually. Rosario Vampire is still a very popular series. It's still a series that is incredibly popular even now. A lot of people still talk about like what are some of the best harem animes, and this is always in the topic of conversation. This one always ends up coming up, so it's still popular to this day. So it could potentially work as a reboot. I do think that a lot of people would end up watching it if this got if this anime got a complete reboot and covered the manga properly. That said, will it happen? Honestly, I would not hold my breath. I would not hold my breath with any of these getting proper anime adaptations. It's more likely that the stuff that don't have anime adaptations are more likely to get them than the ones that already do have them. So, but as far as what it's about, main character gets into a school, finds out that it's a school full of monsters, and he's the only human, and he can't let anyone know that he's human because monsters eat humans. So, they're considered a delicacy, or more so, because none of these monsters have actually met a human before. So, but yeah, so he's there, and then he ends up becoming friends with a vampire girl named Mocha, who pretty much immediately knows that he's a human because she's a vampire. She can smell his blood. She can smell his human blood. And he ends up becoming friends. He ends up becoming friends with with a bunch of other girls. A succubus, a snow fairy, two witches, another vampire joins the fray, and a whole bunch of other characters. He slowly gains a lot of friends, and I cannot say any more than that because it would go into major spoiler territory. And if you haven't read it yet, I highly suggest you do. It is, honest to God, one of the better shonen series. And yes, this is a shonen. It is a Shonen Jump manga. And I absolutely love it. It is like one of my favorites. I'll probably end up doing in 2 different top lists next year for Man-Gust. Probably do like my top 12 favorite shonen and my top 12 favorite rom-com couples. So that's probably what I'm gonna end. That's probably what I'm gonna end up doing. Yeah, that's I can't really say anything else about it. It's great. It's a really great series. I do recommend you watch it. So, yeah, that's all I got. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.